one thing I can tell you is that Cuba is a dear friend of St. Lucia. And the diplomatic relations that we've enjoyed with the government and people of Cuba spans several decades. And I will tell you why Cuba is a true friend. I'm sure you're familiar with the adage, it is in times of crisis and difficulty you know who your true friends are. And despite all the challenges they've had as a country, we know what the embargo has done to stifle economic progress and to deprive and deny the people of Cuba a standard of living that is comparable to other parts of the world. That notwithstanding, their resilience has not been broken. They have not shifted in their stance and the moral fortitude for what they believe in. And this morning, I want you to put your hands together for not just the ambassador, but the government and people of Cuba. Having said this, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Pauline Antoine Prosper, the Acting Deputy Permanent Secretary in the person of Ms. Althea Emmanuel. I want to acknowledge the presence of Ambassador Linares and all other Cubans in our midst this morning, in particular, the head of the medical brigade. And had it not been for that medical brigade, not only in St. Lucia, I know I have the authority to speak only within my jurisdiction, which is St. Lucia, but the work of the extended medical brigade family in the Caribbean, Latin America, and other parts of the world is responsible for hundreds of thousands of lives having been saved when countries did not have the medical personnel to look after their own affairs. And Cuba once again came to the fore for St. Lucia, for the Caribbean, and for a lot of other countries in the world. And I want to say to you, Doc, this morning that we're extremely grateful. I wish I could have said it all in Spanish, but unfortunately I cannot. But I'm sure you've understood how grateful we are as a people for your presence and the work that you've been able to champion on behalf of your government, of course benefiting the people of St. Lucia. I really don't have much to say, as I indicated before, but to once again congratulate you. I would have done that when we met at my office. I want to remind you that you have a tremendous opportunity to realize your goals and your dreams and to pursue an education that will distinguish you from your peers upon completion. I also want to remind you that when we met the last time, that I told you, and Dr. Prosper alluded to that this morning, yes, you are your own person. Yes, you have your own personal values. But when you hop on this aircraft en route to Cuba, you are carrying with you the ideals, expectations, and aspirations of 180,000 people, the population of St. Lucia. So quite apart from you being expected to do well in your educational pursuits, you have a tremendous ambassadorial responsibility. Conduct yourselves in ways that will reflect the true values and ideals of St. Lucia. Speak words that will reflect St. Lucia in a positive light. Nobody owes you any scholarship in St. Lucia or in the world. And the hardest part for me always is when a student comes to the Ministry of Education, they have not made the shortlist, so they want to see the minister because they believe the minister has the answer to everything. And they want an explanation as to why I did not get onto the list. And it can be very, very painful from my personal standpoint to explain to the student that we can only send 11 to Cuba this year, notwithstanding we had scores of applicants, but only 11 can make the trip this year. And some of them literally break down in the office, and you have to make a concession, almost promise them that next year they will be included, or that if they can't get onto the Cuba shortlist, we will work diligently as a ministry, as a Department of Human Resource Development, to try and find an alternative program in another country for them. I say this to underscore how privileged you are, how blessed you are to have been chosen. And you have to make that count for you. You must make it count for your family. You have to make this count for your community, especially those of you who come from rural parts of St. Lucia. And you have to make this count for your country. Upon completion of your program, you must have a burning desire to return to St. Lucia so that you can dispense your services to the population that you left behind, so that you can walk the streets of your communities and your country with pride and dignity, whereby children at the secondary level and even the primary level want to be like you, so that you can be that model for them. You can be that benchmark for them. And this is very important. And some of you, or should I say some students, they leave our shores in pursuit of an education. And after the first semester or the first year they return on vacation, St. Lucia is already too small for them. They're bigger than St. Lucia. They're bigger than the Ministry of Education. They're bigger than the community from which they came. And the persons with whom they attended primary school, they're too big for them. And I've encouraged every student living in the shores of this country that without humility, your academic brilliance will take you nowhere. You must remain humble. There's a little old lady somewhere in your community who never spoke to you. But when she inquires about your well-being and she has not seen you for a couple of weeks and she's told that you're in Cuba studying to become a doctor or a medical professional, she's happy and she's praying for you without you even knowing it. Do not allow the successes of your academic pursuits to cloud your judgment and your overall outlook on society. You have to be integrated. You have to see yourself as one who has put his hand up or a hand up for this country. You're not in this for yourself, Of course, you'll get paid as a doctor when you return, but for me, the bigger preoccupation ought to be the difference that you can make in the lives of people. You are not engineers. Engineers are important. Teachers are extremely important, but perhaps the most important. I'm a teacher. But doctors are equally important. You are entrusted with people's lives. And every time I meet school principals for our annual meeting, I say to them that the raw material for us as educators are the children entrusted in our care. And we have 26,000 students in St. Lucia, from early childhood up to tertiary level institutions, including Monroe and UE Global Campus. 26,000. When the Ministry of Infrastructure decides that they're paving a particular road in Castries or in Vieux-Fort or in Grosile, they go to the yard, they put a certain amount of cement into the truck, the mixer, water, gravel, etc. And the truck spins on its way, or the bucket, and upon arrival on site, an engineer takes a sample and decides that the strength of the concrete is inadequate for the volume of traffic that this road has to receive. You know what they do? They find some open space and they dump it. And the truck is sent back to the yard to get a new mix, a fresh mix. In education and the school system, we do not have the opportunity for a fresh mix. The students are our only mix, and we have to get it right from day one. And that is why our government today is placing so much emphasis on early childhood education. It is no secret that the region has been performing dismally when it comes to CXC, CSEC mathematics. Thankfully, St. Lucia is above the regional mean, but we cannot take comfort and solace in being somewhere between 30 and 40%. That is unacceptable. And we are beginning to understand that what we see manifesting itself at the Form 5 CXC, CSEC level may well have started at the early childhood level, at the kindergarten level. And so we'll be investing a lot of resources in early childhood education and in the infant level of our primary school system. I say all of this to put the education system in context. 238 square miles, 180,000 people. We do not have mineral resources. Our best and most valuable resource will always be the people, the citizenry. And that is why our government is paying no effort in ensuring that we provide as many young St. Lucians as possible with opportunities to pursue higher education. History is replete with examples of what we can achieve as St. Lucians on the global stage. There was a time when we were satisfied to be the best in St. Lucia. And then we'll top that up by being the best in the Caribbean. But today we have shown, and as I said, you can just check the history books and the records, that we can be the best at whatever we want to be in the world. Ask Sir Derek Walcott, deceased. Ask Sir Arthur Lewis, if you don't believe me. And if you, these days with the advent of WhatsApp, you can get Julian Alfred's number and send her a message and ask her if we can be the best at what we do in the world. Some of the best doctors of the next generation in the Caribbean are seated right here this morning. And I'm not saying that because it's cliche or it's convenient. I know it. That's what we are. We have a very rich repository of talent in this country. We just have to nurture the talent as much as possible to ensure that people are set on a path where they can contribute for themselves, their families, their communities, and for St. Lucia. We are pursuing 1 university graduate per household. It will not happen tomorrow. We will not have realized that dream or that objective next week, but we are pressing ahead. Only last week or week before, 44 students have been prepped. They've been awarded their instruments, and they are all ready to leave for Taiwan in pursuit of university education across a range of fields: engineering, biochemical this and biochemical that, architecture. And I'm talking about areas of study that will prepare St. Lucia for the challenges ahead. I am not discrediting any academic program, but we want to ensure that what you pursue at university and higher educational levels today would be a reflection of the jobs of tomorrow. So 44 are leaving for Taiwan. 11 of you are set to leave for Cuba. And in 2 weeks' time, in partnership with Monroe University, we will be awarding 75 first-generation scholarships. And that will be complemented in January with Monroe again, another 17 scholarships, 3 of which are full scholarships and 14 partial scholarships. And in the next 2 weeks, I'll be going to Cabinet to ask the government of St. Lucia to provide economic cost awards for somewhere between 18 and 25 young St. Lucians. Then we have students who will leave for Hungary, Morocco. These days we have students in Serbia. I've been speaking with the St. Lucia's ambassador to the UN with a view to expanding something we've started with the government of Indonesia. There's also interest in Brazil. And all of those are scholarship opportunities, because we know the challenges that most parents would face today because of their inability to sit before a loans officer and say, I want $200,000 so that my child can pursue a particular program. And we've gone further. We have capitalized the St. Lucia Development Bank with an approximate amount of $3 million for families who want to take the loan or who have the ability to take the loan. The government of St. Lucia has placed $3 million roughly at the St. Lucia Development Bank, where students can get loans access-free, and if your assets are not sufficient, that should not deprive you. We believe that in 2025, the socio-economic circumstances of a student or a family should not be an impediment to his or her ability to attain higher education. And what I should have mentioned to you too, as I close, is that with Monroe University, we are making available what we call first-generation scholarships. Every one of you in this room know a particular family where a brother has been to university, the sister went, the mother went, the father went, and the entire family, they've had the means to be able to expose themselves to university education. And you have other families where students are equally bright, if not more academically inclined and capable, but because they are from indigent families, their parents don't have the means, they never get to see the halls of a university. We are making this right. So whether you have land or house or you don't, and you qualify, we are going to say we are taking somebody, the first in the family, to give them a scholarship. We will hold them by the hands, and we will ensure that they finish and take their rightful places in community, in country, in the private sector, and in government, with a view to making a contribution to the forward march of our country. So there's a lot happening in education. I can speak for 2 hours, but I know you must be thinking, well, a little scholarship this fellow's giving me, say, kapale and talk and thing. But I think it's necessary to put these things in context. Not because it is fashionable and convenient, but sometimes you have to remind people of what the government is doing for young people. So make the most of the opportunity. Congratulations on having received the scholarship. Cuba will definitely provide a cultural shock for you. If you're accustomed to waking up in the morning with your breakfast already made, and you can flip through 100 channels, brace yourself. But one thing I can assure you, I didn't study in Cuba, but the student who graduates in Cuba comes back with a different consciousness. You're more resilient. You appreciate things more. And that is what we are calling you to do in Cuba. Go out there, brace yourselves, and do well. There will be days when you will say to yourselves, well, boy, I did not make the right decision. And I told you so when we met. If you never get or have a moment where you question whether this is what you wanted to do, something is wrong with you. If you do not miss home, something is wrong with you. If you don't call your parents and cry, something is wrong with you. It's all part and parcel of the package. But the real joy comes when you see the white coat and people are on Facebook and they begin to refer to each other as doctor. Now, let me warn you. When you come back after the first year on vacation, do not ask people to call you doctor. Please, you're not a doctor. You're not yet a doctor. Do not ask people to call you doctor. I've said it before. I have called people doctor prematurely just to see their reaction. And they answer me, yes, sir. And I know they're not a doctor. But we're all happy for you. Your parents are happy for you. The government will continue to provide the support services that we can. Right now, you get 2 barrels, or you're entitled to 2 barrels for the year. And those of you who waste things at home because you come from families where your parents always provide for you, you learn how to appreciate things. But at the end of the day, the real joy is when your heels and your shoes begin to hit the tiles at OKEU. Give you room. You're coming in for the shift. Baule. And that's the real joy. So I take tremendous pride in the successes of the students. When time permits, I visit Cuba. I have meetings with them. They complain about everything. The stipend not enough. But we're looking to increase the stipend to give you a little more. But we must always take cognizance of the fact that we do not want you to pitch above the average person in Cuba. I think it is diplomatically disrespectful, and students who have been known to try and live lavish lifestyles in Cuba, we've had to reprimand them. And the one thing I don't compromise on is the integrity and the good name of Saint Lucia. I don't care who you are, where you come from, who your parents are. Once you are not going to conform with the guidelines that we have established for students studying in Cuba, I will come to Cuba myself and grab you and put you on the plane and ship you back to your community in Saint Lucia. That relationship is too valuable with Cuba to allow any one student to derail it or to compromise it. It is totally unacceptable. Stay within your means. If you don't have, you don't have. And always look to forge alliances with your fellow Saint Lucians who are already up there. There will come a time, it's not a matter of who you like and who you don't like. In a foreign country, as somebody who studied in a foreign country, there will come a time when you have to rely and lean on each other. There are persons you never knew before, but they're the ones who will ensure your success at university to become a doctor. Because you want to give up. You're having a bad day. And then you'll be getting some bad news from home. Now, parents, tell the students what they need to know. And know how to tell them. Sometimes somebody just bursts their toe walking down the road. They send a message to the students. Hey, so-and-so had an accident today, but I don't have the details. Right away, the student can't function. Tell them things they need to know. Don't break bad news all the time. It can unsettle them tremendously. Okay, and they'll also be relying on you for support. When I studied, there was no WhatsApp. Today's video call. Enjoy it. Make the most of it. Once again, on behalf of Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, the Cabinet of Ministers, and the senior management team in the Ministry of Education, I congratulate you on having been awarded scholarships to study in Cuba, and I wish you every success in your academic pursuits. Thank you very much.